Alright people, how we doing? Big up your bad self. Mr. Bendy Wendy is a 1073 player. He's failing. Ujwal 603, rated 1005, and we have a D4 opening. Now, what do we play against D4? So I'm not going to play the Charlik. I want to go... I'm going to go Knight F6, C5. You can play that, I think, against absolutely anything that White does. So White is saying, nah, I'm going to build myself a little teepee and I'm going to hide within. So defends, so able now to recapture with the C-pawn. It's my job now, really, I think, to strike for the centre, you know. I mean, this is a possibility, but after White has already built a 3-up pawn chain, already starting to, you know, think carefully about what to do. Now, it's very, very likely this game will come down to blunders and tactics. So if you are around this level, please do not stress. Oh my lord. Do not stress about openings. Okay, wow. Queen A4 check. Okay. Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, technically 6 legal moves, but pawn to B5 isn't a good one. So we'll scrap that one. Oh, no. Now, the obvious one, I think, is bishop D7. The reason is it comes with tempo. So now the queen has to move again. And my knight still has options. Right? So this bishop is now kind of improved because it still has all of this diagonal, but it now has this diagonal as well. So thank you very much to my opponent. Now, queen's attacking C5. We have options, right? One is to push pawn to E6. Pawn to E5, there's no call for it because takes we've got no way to recapture. Pawn to E6 is a splendid move because we are defending the pawn and at the same time we are slightly improving our position. But are we? Are we? Yes, we're defending this. We're discovered defense of this, right? But at the same time, we are blunting this guy. So what other options are there? Well, I'll tell you. We have queen B6. We have queen C7, both of which defend the pawn. However, if you look carefully, you'll realise that this pawn is attacked twice. So, those don't really make sense. I mean, if E6, I blunt this bishop, pawn takes anyway. I can't take back with the bishop because I lose my bishop. That then leaves us with a couple of ideas, right? C4 is one. C4 stops this pawn in its tracks, stops this bishop from coming out. Of course, it's not going to come out onto the wrong colour complex. Yeah, that I think is the move. And now what we're threatening to do is push E6 or even E5 with the option of E4 with tempo because we have a revealed or discovered attack against the queen. Is there any difference between revealed and discovered? Some people prefer to say revealed. The chess.com analysis also uses the word revealed sometimes. To me, it's always been a discovery. Okay, so here is the threat. And, you know, while your opponent thinks, you can consider these. Oh, hello. Right, so I have E6 now or E5. I'm going to play E5. Now, you got to move that queen, right? I might follow up with B5 in case he has ideas about taking here. I can recapture and keep this plug on the LSB. That gives the LSB only E2 and this option, two of which these squares are controlled. Right, now, there's no ideas about dropping a bishop into there at any point. I kind of like in B5. I can also play E4. But then if they take here, what's the plan? Now I'm going to push this. This is like Space Invaders, man. We're battling for space on the centre to queen side here. But I am ahead in development. I've got 2 minor bits out in the board. This knight is very well defended. We don't have to worry about that. It's got a couple of ways into the board. It's probably not going to hurry, this knight. You know, until you've got a good way to develop. Oh, actually, this pawn now hangs, doesn't it? But that would give him an isolated pawn on the c-file. Might allow my knight in. Yeah, I didn't really consider that. So e6 may have, you know, e5 was very bold, but that's not good. I don't like that. Because it's, yeah, okay, well, and I come in, but now look, now I have this. And you may decide that you want to take my bishop, but that's music to my ears. Right? Because that bishop, we have three closed files, right, in the center of the board, and my pawns here. So there is a difference here that I realized the other day because I'm a bit slow. Let's just recapture with the queen while we're thinking. Why do we say that it's your pawns in the center that matter the most? Well, for one thing, these are the pawns that are most likely to become gridlocked, as we have here. 3 blocked files, a closed center, right? Because they're the pawns that people push forward, normally first. That bishops have a very hard time finding. I mean, bishops can't get through this, right? This is the point. Okay, look at his bishops now. This bishop's got one square it can visit. Then it can't go here or here or here, really. Right? Right? This bishop has 2 squares. Actually 3 now. Yeah? So, queen's attacking this pawn. Is it defended? Hell yeah. Is it attacking the knight? Yep. I could even play rook b8 here. And say, on your way, queenie, right? But here's the point. My dark squared bishop is alright. My dark squared bishop can damage this pawn center. This is the point. If it gets around the back, it can start gobbling pawns out, right? But my light squared bishop cannot do anything to this pawn center. Why? Because my light squares are my pawns, and you can't take your own things. Innie. Right. So a couple of options. Rook b8 immediately, which I kind of like because it forces the queen to one of these squares. And just, you know, and I've improved my rook, right? I've improved the scope of that rook. Now I want to bring out my dark squared bishop to either this square or this square, and I think e7. Why e7? Well, it's got a good diagonal here. Obviously, it's got a good diagonal here. Okay, I need to be slightly careful here. If I just castled, right, bishop takes bishop, and if my queen takes... No, my queen is the only defender of this knight, so it would drop the knight. Okay, if I castle, bishop takes bishop, knight takes, queen takes queen, and my queen is defended by the knight. So that is an option. Could I castle here? Takes, knight takes. If queen takes queen, knight takes queen. And then we end up with me having 2 knights here, and these pieces are gone. Right? So let's visualize that. 1 knight's here, 1 knight's here. These pieces don't exist. Where do I go from there? Or I take the bishop. But if I take the bishop, white can then develop his knight for free. What if I took the knight? Rook takes, bishop takes, queen takes. No. So what we've established is I can't actually simply castle. One does not simply castle. Well, no, I can. Bishop takes, it's knight takes. But this is my better bishop for the reasons that we've explained. My bishop can damage this Massif Central, right? This bishop cannot, because it can't touch my pawns, right? Because they're on the wrong colour squares, and it can't touch its own either. My bishop, however, can do something about this. So option 3 is not to engage in that at all. He wants to get rid of his badder bishop in return for my gooder bishop. And I'm like, nah. However, if I move that, then that's goodbye castling rights. So let's get castled, because I'd like to get around to attacking my opponent at some point. And we have established that this is playable. Okay, now, what do we have? Opponent has one bishop, which is bam, bam, right? It could come out here, and now it can actually visit here. I might want to replace my knight onto f6, just to make life miserable for the bishop. What does this knight think it's doing? I could push a6 and just say, you're not coming anywhere, bruv. So, first of all, these knights are doing nothing in an attacking capacity when they're right deep on my side of the board. They want to be deep on his side of the board. Okay. Now, penetrating with a rook is very tempting here. Very tempting. And then rook fb8, yeah, might even, if I can, get both of the rooks on the 7th rank. Might 2nd rank, you know. But we have an even game, right? I've lost both my bishops, which ain't the end of the world, because his remaining bishop is plop. It's baba, it's pants. I know lots of ruder words than that could be used to describe that bishop, but I'm going to refrain from using them because it's a family show. Also, the knight can't go there because the rook just comes back and nobbles it. We have a slight space advantage in that I've got these 2 pawns in my opponent's half of the board, right? Which is contributing to the woes of the white light squared bishop. However, these aren't only inconvenient for bishops, they're also rather inconvenient for knights too. Okay, now the king is the only defender of the bishop. He can't castle, so I'm simply going to double up my rooks on here. Right? This rook has to defend this pawn which is under attack. Right? So it is defended but only slightly. This bishop is defended but only slightly, because it is also under attack. So what I've got is I've got pressure points on my opponent. I haven't got any like meaningful attack going on. I'm not really threatening, but I've got semi-threats. This pawn is also undefended, right? Defended, 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 undefended, right? The rook's are technically undefended as well, and so's that knight. Right, so there are loose bits. My side of the board, my rearmost pawn is super defended. This is not defended. The rooks are, because they are together, right? The king defends all of these pawns. Good reason to keep the pawns tight to your king. So this is the situation that we have. If you look at all the red squares now, these are all potential weaknesses. Loose pieces, boys and girls. And on my side of the board, there's only one. Okay, so he's moved this bishop now here. Now I can't go here because the knight guards that square, yeah? So now what we want to do is we want to make incremental improvements. Now, the A pawn might be a candidate. I would love to improve my knights, particularly this guy who isn't doing an awful lot of the lifting. And I do see one opportunity. So h4 threatening g2. What's wrong with you? Okay, now he castles. And this bishop has actually sprung into life to some degree here. It's also guarding this square. Is this even an option? The knight can always go here. Can I do this? I mean, the thing is, I knew he was going to castle there. So how I wasted time with that, I don't know. It's actually very, it does feel closed, this position, this whole situation. I'd love to come here, put pressure on that, put pressure on that. If I could put my knight anywhere, I'd like to slap it there. But it can't get to any of those squares, is what you have to realise. That all of the entry points from my side are controlled by these pawns. Knights can't get into diamonds like that. So, what are we going to do? We've got to do something. We've got to make something happen now. And I don't know what it is. Da-da-da-da. Is it this? Doubling up on 7th, like we said. Attack this pawn. Right? No. Also, this guy's undefended. What is the purpose of that move? I can't tell at all. I'm now attacking this, and how does he defend it again? Well, bishop there doesn't work. He can't defend it with another piece. The knight is on the wrong square, wrong colour. This bishop is pretty impotent. Could even think about centralising the Grand Old Duke of York, the old king. Quite proud of myself for this. This is one of those things, it's like kind of pushing past pawns that I have a bit of a blind spot to. And need to do more of. I'd like to attack this pawn as well, but the bishop actually controls the attacking squares. But we'll see what happens. If I take here, I'm threatening this rook. If takes, rook takes here, and that's kind of a double pin situation. I'm attacking both pieces at once. You have to adapt to the way that games go, don't you? I mean, kind of truism, that's pretty damn obvious, but... So I think, oh, hello, also, I can dive in there. What am I talking about? Yeah, I can't attack the pawn from here or here, but I can attack it from this side. Yeah, it's kind of developing the ability to enjoy crappy positions as well. You know, you can say to yourself, "Oh, this is now an horrible position." Just thinking as well, that knight on there wouldn't be a bad idea, but it's no better than where it is now. So I'm threatening to win this pawn. I'm then threatening both of these pieces. I'm also threatening potentially to stick my rook in here and attack that pawn. The knight can go here or here currently to defend that pawn though. Now he's having to think. So I think that my feeling for this game is that I have been 2 steps ahead of white, which has allowed me to get my rooks onto the 7th or 2nd. He could actually put either piece here. That could be a pain in the arse. No, he can't, because I just take it. Yeah. So that's my feeling of the game, because he brought out his queen earlier on, right, and got kicked around the park. He's ended up with this space disadvantage, and I think he should have also captured on e5 while he had the chance as well. But he's now at space disadvantage. That bishop has now taken a long time to get to a pretty damn useless square. In which time, so this is the importance of tempo, in which time I've managed to stick my rooks down his throat. And now he's spending like 2 minutes trying to figure out what the hell to do. Okay, because he's spent 1 minute on a couple of moves. Recently, actually. And both of them, it was this move, right? He took a minute to figure that one out. And after I did this, he then took another minute to figure out that one. And here we are. This is where we find ourselves. And he's now on 8 minutes 40. He's still got a bit more time than me, but I've been talking to you. So we should be spending our time now thinking, okay, what could my opponent possibly do tactically? I think we've kind of got a grip on the strategic side of the game. We know what our plan is. It's going to come after these two loose pawns and possibly these two loose pieces. I feel like he's been thinking about this one for at least 2 minutes. Hey, such babes. Take out for a walk later. Oh, we have snow as well today. We've had a sprinkling. Wir haben Schnee. Jeez, have I forgotten what snow is in French? Neige. Pretty sure. So that would be a sign of old age if I start forgetting my French. I studied French for 20 years. I think Ujwal 603 might have left the building. Seven minutes now. See, what's he got here? Yes. Now notice he has the good bishop, right? Because his bishop can, in theory, gobble my pawns up. Right? Can't touch his own pawns, but he can touch mine. This is the thing. This is what we was banging on about. Another key thing here is there's one open file on the board, and I own it. Now, would something like this be a possibility? I take here, he comes in with check, and I can block with a knight. I don't even have to create a Luft square, right, for my king at this point. He does this, I do this. He comes here, I block. Oops. With a knight. I'm then threatening this and this, and potentially this. I mean, it means that that rook is now tied to the defense of this pawn, which is not something you want. Now he's on 6 minutes. Come on, Ujwal. You still playing, dude? Who knows? Oh, sorry about this, everybody. It's like the excitement of the chess has all become too much. Kind of toying with the idea of pushing pawn here, but if I use that for my king, then I do undefend this pawn. So, should a rook, I think we should consider this possibility. I think it's kind of his only roll of the dice. But then, after I take on a2, what about this one though, actually? There, what do we do? I'd probably just sit it out. and say, let you take me, because I am not... Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, so he's attacking my pawn. He may attack this pawn with his knight, and he may bring in this bishop as well. Okay, now I do have this pawn. This is true. If I hit the knight, I think it's going to come here and hit this pawn. Now, my other knight can flip back round to e7 to defend the pawn a second time. And on that square, it's a dark square, so it's away from the grasp of the bishop. So I ain't really concerned about this at all. I do need to make sure that I occupy the b file. Opponent is now starting to run out of time a bit. Okay, he's attacking this, but he's attacking it once, and I can summon a second defender at any time. This is a hanging pawn now, but it means vacating the b file. Now if I do that and he does this, I win the bishop. If I do that and he does this, I take this rook, he takes, I come back to the b file. Another idea is king f8. But I think we just grab the pawn now. If he does this, actually, technically this pawn also hangs. And then this one. Which looks like a bit of a collapse. But I have to remember now that I have 7 minutes on the clock. Oh. Okay. Oh, God. Duh. What? Sorry, I just missed that. Completely missed it. Okay. If I take, he takes, my attack kind of fizzles out. I take, he takes, I come here. He can put his rook there or there to defend this pawn. I take, rook takes me. I'm just going to bring my knight back round here. I might do this as well. Just stuff my king away there. Surrounded by light squared pawns, which is a structure that neither that light squared bishop nor the knight can really attack. The knight would have to come in from the rear to give check, because it can't give check on these squares if my pawns are like this, right? I shouldn't have given that pawn up. That was just clumsy. Alright, he is now attacking my rook. I think I simply come back to the open file, which is critical. Yeah, he took 8 minutes over that previous move. Why? Right? These knights, this bishop can never touch these knights. Yes, my pawns are locked onto light squares where they are potentially touchable by the bishop, but they're super well defended right now. Now there is another open file on the board. Okay. I take, bishop takes. I attack this pawn. I think that knight is his best piece right now. So I'm happy to remove it from the board. Now, let's come after this pawn, I think is what's critical here. There is a check. That's more critical. So I'm thinking g6. Check here, the only legal move is that, and then rook takes its mate. So I'm going to play g6. I'm going to shove my king away there. I haven't even got a knight to worry about now. There's kind of no possible checks from the bishop. My king defends the knight, and it's going to be all about this pawn first. This rook is still tied because I've got both of my rooks are still on there. So I might come after this. If he does this, I have this. And that's 2 attackers, ain't nothing he can do. Okay, he's attacking that. Yes, yes. That's not bad. Takes. Bishop takes, I take. I need to take this pawn, I think, so that I've got a rook defending that one. I don't even have to. Do I? I take the bishop. My feeling is I need to do this, or this, or this. There, bishop takes. That's defended. I take here, that's defended. Again, it just feels a bit like I've got sucked into thinking about my ideas and completely ignoring what my opponent could do. Okay, he now has a passed pawn, which could be an issue. But I can stick the rook here. I can stick 2 rooks on there, behind that pawn. I can take out this bishop at any time. I might be able to play f5 and build this pawn chain, which sorts out my e-pawn for the time being. I also have a passed pawn. So it'd be no bad thing to get a rook behind that pawn, actually. Move here, something like this. Rook c8 and just push Charlie. Okay, that's 2 attackers on the pawn. Do I take the bishop? He's attacking twice. Yeah, I've got this. Obviously, I've got this. If I take the bishop, rook takes. I'm going to take the bishop. I have f5, which I think I'll play immediately, actually. I want to get a rook behind this pawn. I want to get a rook kind of here as well, though. Or do I just do this and maintain the threat on that pawn there? Why did you take 22 seconds over that move? Why? You did not need 22 seconds to think about that. There, maybe like that. So I've both got my rooks on 7th and I'm behind this one. So maybe my rooks want to be on these 2 squares. What's his idea? To double up on this pawn? Do I come back here? I said I wanted a pawn behind my passed pawn anyway. So this just prevents any ideas of playing silly buggers. Now this and this, and I've kind of achieved my objective. I've got 1 rook. Okay. I can't go there. Am I worried about this idea? I have a check. That forces the king away. If he attacks it here, I can move there. It's one step closer. One step closer each time. Name the song. There's a tricky one for you. Going back to the 90s with this one, mate. I think, yeah, it has to be 90s. Okay, he's doubling up. I can also double up. He's got two attackers. I kind of just need to defend. Now he pushes this pawn though. So he's playing 1,000 times better in this endgame since he had his very long break than he was in the first half of the game. All you need to do is push that. Huh, right. This is now getting funky. There, I threaten this. Comes with check. He's on 2 minutes 12. I think he's just going to bring his king in. Yeah, there you go. You can't move the pawn anyway, can you? So now what do I do? I'm kind of in Zugzwang here. Just going to have to make stuff happen. You can now take this, I'm attacking this. The king can move here and defend both, but then I get to move my pawn. Okay. Might do this. If he takes, I can take. If I go here, is that mate? Threaten this. Also then threaten that. You can have a pawn. Defends that. I'm attacking this. His clock is now going up. I have checks now, many checks. Not available, not available. Okay. It's equal. This pawn is undefended. It is defended now. King's forced here, I think, now. There. Am I going to get the H pawn? Is it all going to come down to young Harry again? I think you have one legal move. No, there were two. Okay. Is it this? He gives check. Is it this? do I just push the H pawn? Here, I don't know, I'm kind of worried about perpetuals. Also, the king's rather close and it's covering all these squares. But I think I always have these. Can I afford to do that? I feel like my rooks need to be paired in some way. Or this. Do I want to pair them vertically or horizontally? Okay, I'm doing that. There, here, here. There, I can capture this rook if he goes rook d7 check. Oh, I've just hung this rook. Ah! Right, guys. I don't know what to think about that. I'm going to have a look at the review, then decide. Remember, my opponent's 1000 rated. Oh my lord, it's like a bloody Christmas tree. 3 blunders from me. Wow. Wow. And here, I was winning. And I shouldn't have taken that. Should have just doubled up. And there's nothing you can do. And then here, we're actually fine. That was just critical. It's got me down at 950. Wow. So doubling up my rooks that way was just wrong. So it's actually a drawn position. Odd, odd. I'm going to look at best move. There's a whole lot. Oh my goodness gracious me. Up to here. Then white played perfectly from this point. So he managed to make like 10 bad moves in the space of 15. And then his last few were just, you know, I don't know. It's so hard to tell what's going on. But the other thing that I look at is as well as the timings of the move. So, look, I'll be honest with you guys. This is making me feel like I don't want to do any speed runs now. I mean, did I play that badly? I don't think I did. But you know, my opponent played some very, very tight moves. It said his endgame accuracy was not good though, but my endgame accuracy was worse. I just don't know what to think anymore. I don't know what to think. You know, ought to be having players like this for breakfast. And that is now just a bad run. That is, I've literally lost half of my last 8 games on this speed run, which is disheartening and bizarre. But let's leave it at that. Right, I'll see you tomorrow. We might be back onto my normal account playing normal chess. Okay, see you later.